Even though there will probably be a long wait until Borderlands 4 launches, fans have already started to make predictions about what weapons the upcoming mainline entry in their beloved loot shooter series will have. The Borderlands franchise has been renowned for its ridiculous amount of loot since its modest beginnings in 2009. Naturally, this has played a big role in keeping fans returning to the franchise, particularly since creator Gearbox Software keeps expanding the variety of guns available in each game's prize pool. Every Borderlands game since has seen a steady increase in the quantity of weaponry, from millions to billions. But if that pattern keeps up, Borderlands 4 will require more than 1 trillion firearms. Given that's an impractical goal, maybe Gearbox could focus on another area of the game that hasn't received much attention in the previous 15 years. There are several ways in which Borderlands 2 differs from the original game, including the sheer quantity of weaponry in each. However, Gearbox acknowledged that it has 17,150,000 different possible weapon combinations due to randomly assigned elements. Thus, it certainly doesn't have a limited loot pool. Though it's difficult to think Gearbox could create more than 18 million weapon combinations, it did set a precedent for the series that the company could only expand upon. Gearbox continued to innovate, even after the gaming audience was astounded by the absurd quantity of weaponry in Borderlands. While never giving a precise figure, Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford at the time acknowledged that Borderlands 2 much surpasses the overall number of weapons in the first game. Borderlands 2 would still be in the millions, but most likely in the high millions, given that Borderlands 3 was aggressively promoted as having the most weaponry of any Borderlands game to date. After Gearbox released the massive arsenal of weapons in Borderlands 2, they felt no need to stop there. As the first Borderlands game with 1 billion weapons, it started marketing Borderlands 3. 1 billion firearms, however, was a made-up number because I didn't really want to do the math, according to Borderlands 3 creative director Paul Sage, who also stated that the actual number was well over 1 billion. Borderlands 4 would require at least 1 trillion weapons to scale the weapon pool correctly, but doing so would probably lead to unfixable balancing problems in the game. Thus, Gearbox's attention would be better off working on something else for the next release. In particular, a good end game for the Borderlands franchise may be long overdue. In every Borderlands game, the goal has essentially been to waste time. There isn't much of a reason for players to get stronger and gather additional weapons. After the story concludes and every mission has been accomplished, the gameplay cycle consists only of gathering additional weaponry with no end in sight. If Borderlands 4 does include more weapons, then there ought to be a bigger incentive to acquire them. An ending that centers around finishing harder content, a notion that Tiny Tina's Wonderlands Explored might be able to fulfill this need. Huge treasure troves have never scared off the Borderlands series. Having said that, Borderlands 4 is not likely to have more than 1 trillion weapons, but if it does, having a suitable ending would provide players with a compelling reason to acquire them. Regarding Borderlands 4, not much is known outside of rumors, but more information is probably going to be verified for the gaming community within the next year.